What's going on? What's going on, YouTubers? Today, I'm going to talk about um, a good near and dear relative of mine um, for this redemption series. Talking about is Miss Temika Kidd. Um, Temika, I wanted to interview Temika, but for for reasons that I can understand, um, for her that I understand why she just doesn't want to be on camera. But I'm definitely going to talk about her because she's a very integral part um, in my redemption theme. Um, Tamika is like a sister to me. I always tell anybody that's like, who's Tamika? I say it's my sister. We're not a family by blood, but she's the closest thing to the sister I had, and I'll give you, you'll find out why later in this video. When dealing with Tamika, um, the first time I had met Tamika, I had met her through Facebook, and I met her through Facebook. We conversated and everything, and we talked um, at the time. And I ended up going by her house one night, and this is at the time when I was homeless. And I ended up staying at her house, and I spent the night there. That night, we just talked and conversated and everything, and I really, really felt a good vibe from her. At the time, for me, at the time, just wasn't living my life right. I was homeless, um, and for me being ashamed of being homeless at that moment in time, I would just tell people, just about anything um, that basically I was doing. I was working and doing everything and whatnot, and had my own place and all this stuff, but I actually didn't. So at the time, with me and her, at the time, I was actually trying to actually date somebody else. At the time, and it just so happened that within she was friends with the person I was dating, and other friends with the person I was dating and stuff like that. I remember going out and helping her out at one moment in time, and when I helped her out at one moment in time and left and actually went to go meet um, the individual that I was dating at the time, and went over there for a weekend and came back. And unbeknownst to me, what I didn't know was that she had conversated with her and everything like that, and was like, oh, he's been over here, and he's talking and did this and did that for me, and blah 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 blah. So for that moment in time, for me, with my relationship with the other individual was over um, for then, and everybody was kind of upset. Didn't want to talk to me again, and then that's when I really let the cat out of the bag at the moment in time, and just really let everybody know, at that moment, um, to let them know that I was homeless. So that was a very tough step for me at that moment in time to tell anybody that. So with that, the person I was dating kind of really didn't care, um, but then really started to care because they found out for me I had a lot of guilt for what I had done at that time, and it's rightfully so. Um, and what happened? They figured they could use me for money, and they stopped talking to me, but they continued to talk to me. Um, Tamika really hit me up a couple of days later after I had said that I was homeless, and she just asked, hey, just want to know if you're okay and stuff like that. She called and stuff to see if I was all right and everything, and you know, and when I asked her later on, why did she do that? Why did she end up just saying, "Hey, just want to make sure you're okay," because she said you figured, you needed a friend. And actually, when you're out there and when you're out on the street and you're homeless, it's like you feel like you're not a part of society, you're not a part of the community or anything. You just, just feel just out there. You're not a part of anything. So, and dealing with that, I, in dealing with that, the only friend that I really had at that moment in time was Temika. So, and I'm eating candy while I'm doing this. That shows you I'm really relaxed. So at that moment in time, um, with me being homeless and being out on the street and things like that, um, Tamika became my place of safety, my place of refuge, where I knew I was safe. And she treated me like I was family. I never forget one time I said, I'm going to come by and I play basketball with some guys. And I would, and I did. And I was going to eat dinner. And when I didn't have anything. I had sweets. I had, it was something called scones. I was going to eat that. I was like, yeah, this is my dinner. She was like, no. She went ahead and made me a plate of whatever she had and her daughter had at the time. She does have a daughter. Her daughter is 18. And she went ahead and made me maybe something to eat. She was like, that can be like a dessert or snack for later. Um, and that really, touched me at that moment in time when that happened. That really really touched me. So, like I said just a few seconds ago, it became my place of refuge. I remember me being at school, and that was the only positive thing about me being homeless at the time was me being in school. I would walk from the school I was going to, which I was in Newport News, all the way over to her. Now that walk is about 2 to 2.5 hours. At the time, I was broke. I'm trying to save money. I'm broke. I am carrying a 7-Eleven Big Gold cup that I got, and I'm carrying that cup, and I'm stopping by various stores like Farm Fresh, Food Lines, Walmart, to go in there and fill that water up to drink water. Especially if it was during the summertime because it was very hot. Um, and I ended up maintaining, that, and I would go to her house for refuge for safety. Um, and that was one of the main positive points. Um, I remember one time I was just as broke as a joke, and I remember it was in July, and I came by her house, and um, I never forget. She was like, I'll probably have a friend that's gonna come by and stuff like that, and they're gonna spend the week over here and everything. So I was like, okay, cool. I said I'm just gonna be over here for the weekend. Once they tell you, that they're gonna come, they'll be there. And it ultimately didn't come, and I ended up staying about like 3 or 4 days over there. I think I stayed there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I knew I had class on Tuesday, so I left like super early in the morning on Tuesday to get to class on time. So that's what I did um, one morning. Um, and but she probably doesn't know. But she probably doesn't know that along with the head of the health and science department to tell me to keep going because at the end of that year I'll be finished with the curriculum and I could graduate. She is the one that kind of kept me pushing and kind of kept me going because she was the one that motivated me throughout my time of being homeless that I could make it throughout anything at the moment in time because it was very tough. very rigorous. So I remember her. It was her birthday weekend, and I didn't want to screw up her birthday weekend. I had came by, and she was like, "Well, we're having a family reunion, and they're having my birthday party." So I'm not a part of the. Excuse me. I'm not a part of the family. I don't, want to, come through and deter anything of that nature. So she was like, "Well, I'm going to family reunion. You can stay here till about 12 and leave." So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, the kids here, whatever. Her daughter's friends was here, and I didn't want to deter from that. So I remember that was one of the hottest days of the summer, and I remember going out and walking around Peninsula Town Center, and I had some money at the time on me. Had a little bit of cash on me just for food and things. And I remember that day going to eat at CC's Pizza that day. I think that was the only thing that I ate that day. I stayed in the CC's Pizza for about an hour because it was a buffet. About no longer than an hour, about an hour, 2 hours, and it was hot. And I went down there and walked down there that day, and I ended up coming back. Um, coming back, and I was waiting, and I asked, texted me and asked her. I was like, "If it's all right, if I come through and take a shower, it's very hot," and she can't even remember that time. And my thing was, I went there, I took a shower. I was like, I'm gonna charge my phone, make sure my phone was on 100. Then I'm just gonna go over here by the bus stop and chill. And at the time, I had hurt my leg around that time. And for me, it was really no sense in me going to the hospital, especially at that moment in time, because I, I was homeless. There was no way that I was going to be able to get any of the pain medication that they wanted to get or any of the anti-inflammatories. And I never forget, she thought about, and this is how much of a heart that she has. She thought about me being out there with my leg limping around, and me being out in that heat, and she was afraid something might happen to me, somebody might hurt me, or I just mess around and have a heat stroke out there and just pass out. And it was still hot around the at night. I think at that time it was like 80 degrees at night, but the humidity, the heat index factor was still like 90 to 90 and 95. So the next day was her birthday, and she told me and she asked the kids about it. And I remember her talking to the kids about it. And I didn't know she was talking about me. I just thought that she was actually talking about the Bible to them. And she came in. She was like, "You can stay. You can come out here with us, so you can chill." I never forget that. And she was like, "I'm having a what you come tomorrow," and she was like, "You can stay tomorrow if you want to." And I cried my eyes out after she left because the one thing about it is, with her, um, it was very that was a very very touching thing for me, and like I said, um, it just was. Um, Her birthday was the next day. Um, she had food, drinks as usual. That was, and even after I became, I wasn't homeless anymore. That was it was like my go-to spot. When she said, "Oh, I'm cooking, a lot. I'm cooking on the grill. I'm cooking, some dinner or whatever." It was like, I'm there. I took off. Like, I'll take off. I'll still take off to this day. Like, sure. And she allowed me to stay there, play games. I really felt like a part of what she felt a part of. Um, And the main point is with that, I felt very grateful for that day. Another thing that Tamika always did, she always kept my head on an even keel, to the point of, she really, really did keep me on even keel. Whenever I wanted to do something that involved me, making quick money or doing something like that, that basically was illegal against the law, she would normally snap back. She was like, remember what you're doing, remember what's at stake. Basically, just paraphrasing, because that wasn't her words. You're almost where you're at. You almost get to where you need to be. And I remember that, and I always stayed focused with her. Um, I was there, with her through the battles. When I got help from the people at a church that I used to go to and that I used to clean, um, from Miss Barbara Harvey, was staying in her office space, and then ultimately the church helped me get the extended stay hotel room that I was in. Um, a couple weeks in mid September, all the way through till the beginning of January of the following year. Um, the one person that I told in the beginning was Temika, because I was happy of not being out on the street anymore. I was happy of actually having a place to go and a place to stay, and that I was very proud of it. Anything that I made an accomplishment with in school or anything after that moment that I had admitted to her that I was homeless and I seen that she had cared, I would let her know first. It would be like my mom, then Tamika. Or if I couldn't get in touch with my mom, I'll be like, Tamika, this is what happened. I never forget it. Tamika was my first guest there, at the extended stay hotel. I was so proud to have a place. It just felt like my own. And I had been in her house so many times that I decided I wanted her to come to mine. And I, that was my thing. I said, I'm going to come to mine. And she I actually cooked dinner for Tamika. I never forget it. If she don't remember that, I do. And and I remember Tamika come over there sometimes, come over there all the time. And, you know, I say, you're more than welcome to come over here anytime you want to. It doesn't matter. Just like she did for me. And I never forget it. So going on in between time, I remember me, rather, after I finished my internship, and I knew I finished my internships, I went to her house after I got done. And I remember telling her, I'm like, look, I got done with my internship. I'm going to graduate. And I gave her a big hug. And she was like, well, that's good. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. Um, and, generally, she was very, very proud of me. Um, and she was the first person I told about me having a custodian position at the church, because I used to help clean a church that I used to go to. And, she was always there. And once I got out of the extended stay hotel room and ended up getting my own place, she, was still there. And the one thing about it is, she was still there and I was there for her. I can remember one time actually talking to her about a situation and she felt down and out. And I won't say what the situation was, but she felt down and out. And I talked to her about it and just definitely tried to make her feel better about the whole thing. Um, and that made me feel well. And but Tamika is like the person that I know they're always gonna be there through thick and thin, for me. Um, it went on, got hired by the place I got an internship with, stayed there. And as people know, in my early redemption, serious books. I was there, and then until I got in trouble with the law and had to get locked up, and I was locked up for 9.5 months. In those 9.5 months, um, the only person that I can remember writing me a letter and actually succeeding into me actually getting a letter was Temika. She was there. She was always there. Whenever I had called, she would answer. Um, it was very rarely that I called her, and it was very rare that I got through. But I was happy to get through to her, um, and she was always there. She's always there. For me. And even when I got out, I remember get the first person. This is actually the first person that I wanted to go see was her when I got out. I didn't actually see her the first day I got out. I actually seen her daughter. I seen her on the second day when I got released in May 14th. Um, and I was proud. I was just told her thank you, and that I was always here. She was always there for me. Everybody else came and went, but she was always there. Um, and that's basically it. The one thing that I would say, and Temika, and I hope Temika watches this video, because when I get done, I'm gonna send this video to her. Temika, in these past few years that we've been knowing each other, you have been like the North Star. You have been constant. You've never changed. The North Star is always there, no matter what type of night it is, whether it's raining, foggy, snowing, whatever it's going to be, monsoon. You always can find the North Star because the North Star is already there. It's constant. It's not changing. And you have never changed, no matter what it's been. And I thank you for actually being here for me. And I actually thank God for having someone like you come into my life, because I really needed you. And for that, I'm very, very, very thankful for you. And I love you to death. So with this video, it concludes me talking about Temika Kidd. About to post it up, and just everybody be on the lookout for any of my other videos, workout videos, and also I want to have a lot of basketball videos coming up too, because I'm getting ready to get prepped for a spring league soon. That's going to go on in Gloucester County, so be on the lookout for those as well. All right, guys, peace.